Hello, this is Voyenture time. Maybe I kill myself slowly because I don't have the courage to run like energetic little boys. I'm Andrew, and with me today is...
Sarah.
Ben, and I was so close.
Who are you?
Who are you? Who are you, middle sir?
I said Ben.
No, you didn't.
Oh,
I said
didn't
Ben,
hear it.
and I was
You
so
must have
close.
cut out.
Oh.
I'm Nathan.
All right, we have ourselves together in this
Definitely
Friday
all
night
together.
recording.
Yeah, it is.
Everything
it is
is
just
normal.
fine. I'm sitting here in my shiny, brand new Voyager Time Neelix is the Worms t-shirt,
Oh my god.
sporting our boy Neelix as King Worm. It's a limited run shirt because I only made the one using my son's arts and crafts.
It's got macaroni art.
Some
on
classic bedazzling, some glitter, some macaroni art.
Perfect.
Can we get one of those airbrush t-shirts of Neelix's King Worm?
Sure.
Of course.
Today we're talking about Voyager Episode 7 on Netflix, Ex Post Facto. Tom Paris is convicted of murder on an alien world, and his punishment is to witness the murder from the victim's perspective every 14 hours. The Voyager has fired 2 of its 38 photon torpedoes.
So should I just go ahead and tell you what my Andrew quote was for this episode?
Yes.
So my guess was going to be, like it or not, you've made energetic little boys. And I had the maybe I kill myself slowly part, but I was like, no, I think that's going to be a little bit too dark. I was so
I thought so
close.
too, but I had to go with it. Nathan, did you have one?
I thought I had one noted, but apparently I was a bad steward of my responsibilities.
I thought this was a fantastic episode of Voyager. I really, really, really liked this.
Yeah, I love the fact that in the replay of his memories, it is classic like murder mystery, like noir style.
This whole thing was done, in like film noir, including
Yeah.
the line that I took that quote from. Like that is, I think, verbatim from a film noir movie.
Would not surprise me.
I was a little bit cooler on this episode. I didn't like it as much for some reason. I can't point to any specific thing. I was just like, it's fine. It's good, but I was not super into it.
I adore film noir, so this was like right up my alley. And then we also got a Sherlock Tuvok section, a Tuvok Holmes section, which was excellent as well.
That was
this was
hilarious. Like to have, I listed that as like Tuvok Poirot shit.
This was
I noted it as Sherlock.
Sherlock. Yeah, Sherlock Holmes. So the
good.
episode opens with Tom Paris making out with an alien lady, and it's like filmed from a first-person perspective, and apparently he's making out with the viewer's wife.
He's making out with the viewers.
We can only be so lucky. And then we see him murder the person who we're seeing the perspective from, and then Tom Paris sort of wakes up and we're told that the sentence has been carried out and it will happen again in 14 hours. And then we go straight to credits.
First point of order, why 14 hours? It's a very specific number.
I know.
Well, maybe it's something like the day of on the planet is like
28 hours.
Yeah,
That's what I was
and
going to
so
say
it's
there.
once every.
But it's
Yeah.
2
it's
times a
never
day.
explained, and it's never relevant. Like at no point
Right.
is there like a time that they have to like do it within a certain period. It just happens. It's very convenient every time. They bring it up and then never mention it again.
Yeah, it always seems like right when it's most convenient, it's about to happen again.
They've done numerous studies and they've found the most effective numbers every 14 hours. Too little, they're not learning their lesson. Too much, it's too much for the brain to handle.
Apparently not, though, because they do this commonly, and I guess they've
It
never
is too much
run
for the
into
brain
this
to
issue.
handle.
It's too much for the human brain.
Oh right, for
They
the
bring
weak
it up.
human brain.
They bring up how it's an alien neurosystem, and they had trouble putting the engrams into his nervous system.
The problem is that we don't have those cool feathers surrounding our head to keep it insulated and safe.
Man,
For the torture implant.
Yeah, the Banyan hair sprouts are so much.
I thought they were cocoons on their head at first.
I couldn't tell what it was.
It was
I thought they were hats.
Well, it was
Yeah, because
definitely...
it's a bunch of it's like a bunch of feathers, and then they have like hair sprouting out of the top.
It's
Yeah.
really weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a whole lot.
Do you think that the writers picked Tom Paris for this because he's the one who's most likely to commit a crime of passion?
I mean,
he was the one who was in jail up until like 2 weeks ago.
right.
It was a rehab colony.
Okay. That's because they probably don't have jail anymore on Earth.
It definitely said prison colony when we see it.
It definitely did say prison in the name, but it's fine.
Mm-hmm. It was like, this is Utopia Earth in the distant
Right.
future. Like, yeah. Paris was definitely like the choice to have for a criminal.
Right.
But also, we need to make a quick detour into the shipping department.
Harry, come on.
Man, you're just hijacking my bit.
Yeah. Hey, you and I both agreed on this one from the start. We were both in on this ship right away. But yes, Tom Paris and Harry Kim being the only two that were sent down to the planet to go work this out, whatever they needed to with the with these guys, and
A romantic tour of the new planet.
Of a war zone.
of a war zone.
Yeah,
Romantic
just a
trek
nice-
through the war zone.
A nice long trip in the transport that definitely has an autopilot feature. You know,
Cuddle close so we
Yep.
make through the scary war zone. Make
they don't
all
have to
these
worry
enemy
about that.
ships.
They've already made peace with the people who are like guarding this planet. They're good. They were definitely getting into some stuff in the transport on the way there, is what I'm saying.
Is that the only thing you had for the shipping department? Because I had like tons
There's also
more.
Go for it. I want to hear it. I had more note. I was like, this is specifically them being sent together. I was like, I bet they volunteered to go together. I bet they.
Well,
they
but
volunteered
okay,
to
so
do
my
everything
first
for
thing
that.
about that isn't shipping department related. I was like, why the fuck would they send those two idiots off by themselves for anything?
Fair.
Paris was in jail up until a couple of weeks before they got to the Delta Quadrant, and then Kim is an ensign. Like, they are
This
not
is his
experienced.
first mission. Yeah.
They're not supposed to. Why are they off by themselves?
But a couple episodes ago, they sent Neelix down with the team,
I know,
so I
yeah,
don't think
true.
their judgment on who they're sending to these planets is completely sound.
Look,
That
of the
is
bridge
true.
crew, Harry Kim is by far the most expendable.
Not Paris.
But he also seems to be the
Send him
most
through the war
like.
zone, see if he makes
Well,
it.
Paris is a really good pilot. He's the best pilot, as Harry very sultrily comments later.
Yes, that was another thing I forgot to write a note about.
Yeah. He looks at him all proud, like he's talking about how great his boyfriend is at being a
Best
pilot.
ever.
Yes, them at that
Yeah.
dinner was definitely them just fawning over each other a little bit.
Man, I'm so oblivious to these things.
I'm just saying, I think that the entire premise of this episode happened because they were jealous of each other. Like, Harry was jealous that Paris was like checking out this girl, and he was only checking her out because he was trying to make Harry jealous. And then when Harry wasn't paying attention to him later and he got bored and started wandering around, he's like, Harry, this is all your fault for not paying enough attention to me. I'm just saying.
No, you're right. I did not take really very good notes this episode because I was kind of bored for a lot of it.
Well, you
But I
have to
was
be
like,
looking
this
for
is-
this
Yeah.
to make it interesting.
Why did you not like this episode?
It just,
Because it was about Paris, right?
yeah, like Paris was not interesting in this episode. It was just like, I don't care about what happens to Paris. I don't care, like, he's not an interesting character to me. He's just kind of there to be the butt of a joke every single time.
But he does the film noir bit so well. It's perfect. He's like the hapless guy who gets completely used by the femme fatale and
Yeah.
has no idea what's going on. He's oblivious the entire time.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it just didn't feel interesting to me in the way that I guess it did for you. like I'm sure it hit all those notes perfectly, but it did not land for me. Like,
I mean, it was a little corny.
Is
but
it
like a
because
Star
it just
Trek
didn't necessarily feel like a Star Trek?
yeah, like we had
Yeah,
the
and it
aliens
doesn't-
from the eyes down, like Andrew said earlier in the series. But like they were just people. Everybody, all of these aliens were again just people, and like we've got Paris being fake Kirk, who's just going, and the first thing he does is he makes out with a woman.
Oh, I actually have a note about this. This episode is written before Tom Paris was cast, and so they didn't know what his character was going to be like yet, because apparently the actor, Sarah, what's his name?
Robert Duncan McNeil.
Yes. Apparently Robert Duncan McNeil had a hand in guiding how Tom Paris was supposed to be, and he was originally written as like a womanizing asshole. But he wanted that change, but this episode was written before that was ever done, and I think filmed as well. So this is sort of not in keeping with the way that they wanted Tom Paris to be.
Yeah, he definitely grows out of that eventually.
Yeah, it just didn't land for me. Like Paris at this point for me, he's only good to be like dunked on. Like later on, Tuvok is like giving an explanation for how he couldn't have done it, and I was just like, part of his explanation was Tom's kind of stupid.
Yeah, I know.
And it's like, yeah, had to get another jab at Tom in here.
He doesn't even argue. Tom doesn't. He's just like,
Nobody
right.
argues. Like the captain and Harry are also there, and they're like, yeah, they're right. Paris is kind of an idiot.
Jerry Taylor is one of the creators of Voyager, and the way she talks about Tom Paris kind of makes it seem like he is her favorite. So I'm really curious to see how that develops over time.
That's interesting because, like, at this point, he's like my second least favorite, only ahead of Neelix. Like,
Oh man,
those two are just so bad. Again, they have nothing redeeming except to be like the butt of a joke at this point to me.
Well, Paris at least has like a job.
Yeah, Paris has a
He
job.
serves a purpose.
is Henry Kim just the audience analog? Because he's always clueless.
Henry Kim.
Did I call him Henry?
You did just call him Henry.
Yeah, good old Hank Kim.
But
Dang
I
it,
don't know.
Tommy.
I think Kes is more likely to be the audience surrogate because she truly doesn't know anything.
Unless she knows medicine.
She does know
True.
medicine quite well now.
She's learning that.
I mean, again, how
shockingly
long have they
fast.
been there? And she has like an unreal amount of medical knowledge.
Yeah.
She's got a good brain for it. It's young, so it can store a lot of data in it.
I wrote down that I genuinely like Kes because she has such a good calming presence.
Yeah.
And that it is just such a shame she has such weird taste in men.
Neelix and then a hologram.
Well, no. It's mostly just
hologram is great.
Neelix. She's not romantically interested in the Doctor.
Yet.
I don't know anything about this
Maybe.
except that someone falls in love with him.
As long as we're on the topic of the Doctor, like back to the name picking where he's going through all the doctors, can he please be Spock too?
I
He's just trying to list these names of like Kess was asking like, oh, who inspires you? Like, who are other doctors who inspire you? And then the list is Spock. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Well,
casually
I don't know
slip
why
that
he
one
Yes.
in.
said that though, because if he's talking about actual like medical doctors,
I was wondering that.
that doesn't include Spock. Spock was a scientist, not a.
mhm.
At least as far as I remember ever seeing, he wasn't practicing medicine. Like he should have said Dr. McCoy if he was going to make a reference,
Right.
Right?
No, they had to make the easy reference.
Right.
That
Or the casuals. I know that one.
Like, let's be real here. It's for me. It's for me.
That's a Star Trek.
there was a great little discussion on the Turing test. The idea that if a machine can act as intelligently as a human, then it is as intelligent as a human.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was when they're on the topic of choice, right? Like,
Yeah, and whether or not the Doctor is truly alive.
right.
Yeah.
Was this something that they talked about at all in Next Generation with Data?
Like constantly.
Okay, I had a feeling,
Yes.
but
There's literally an episode called A Measure of a Man, and it's about Data on trial to see if he deserves to make his own decisions or if he is just property.
That's dark.
That's very dark. I like the implications there, though.
It's one of the classic episodes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So these aliens that they wind up hanging out with for a while, they have very lax policing, especially around like prisoners and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're like, sure, just let him, he can leave.
Yeah, just
bring him back to your ship.
At first it was like, just let him be alone with the crew, that's fine. We know they can teleport, but like it'll be totally cool. And then they just like, let him go back.
Yeah, it's...
make sure you bring him back.
Yeah, well, maybe
Make sure
they
you
thought
bring him back here.
their medicine was so advanced that they wouldn't be able to take the implant out of his head, and so that he'd be, no matter where they took him, he would still be suffering this punishment that they put on him.
I mean, in a way, they were right though, because didn't the doctor say that it was unlike anything that they'd seen, and that like they had to go back to them,
right?
So I'd be pretty confident in that scenario. Like, oh yeah, this guy's definitely gonna be fucked up by this weird science that we did to him forever.
Yeah.
I mean, they did wind up having a purpose in their grander plan of having him get hijacked by the new aliens. What were the N aliens? What are they called?
I don't know.
Neelix.
I don't remember. The Neelixes.
The Neelixes. But it did stick out in the moment as something that felt not unrealistic, just very trusting. That like their whole justice system is based on the honor system.
The Numiri.
Oh, okay. That makes sense because I kept thinking they were the Booniri, which is a Pokemon. So like that kept fucking me up a little bit.
Let's like summarize the next like section of the episode.
Well, can we first start by saying aliens have dogs? Just dogs.
Yeah, just
not alien dogs, just dogs.
So like the scientist guy or whatever he was that Tom and Harry go to meet, they go to his house for dinner.
Who is oddly chipper for being at war.
Yeah, he seems very chill and like
the whole time he was like, I'm so happy you guys are here. Come have dinner with me and my wife. Also, we're at war.
Also,
don't worry about the
in
war
danger
part,
and surrounded by enemy ships. But come enjoy this nice meal with us.
Yeah. And then
it
the
might
wife
be our last. Look at our dog.
Yeah, the wife is completely standoffish. My favorite thing that she does in the entire episode, though, is when she's like, would you like a drink? And then they're like, sure. And then she goes to the cabinet of drinks and is like, help yourself.
That was the best. She just like goes and opens the door and like, here you go.
Here they are.
Bye.
Yeah, and they're like, they're on an alien planet. They don't know what those drinks are. They don't know anything about that stuff. And so they're just like, okay, I guess I'll just guess it's something.
So to be clear...
No, don't drink that. That's just the alien mayo that you're not supposed to eat by yourself.
Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have left that in there.
To be clear, this section of the episode was just like a flashback of Harry Kim telling what happened to him and Tom Paris on the planet.
So that's how the actual opening is, or like the first thing that is like happening with the rest of the ship is that Harry's coming back on a shuttle.
Yeah.
Alone, and he's like weak or something on the thing, and he's like, he has to go to the sick bay after he gets back, and then he comes back and he tells the story about how they made him leave Tom behind. Another thing that is a shipping department related comment.
Wait,
yeah, he's like all upset, but like, why was he sick or like helpless in there? Like, what happened to him?
Yeah, that's
he wasn't in trouble.
That's never addressed.
Yeah, they say that he's like dehydrated, and that's it.
Didn't they say that he was like being interrogated for a while?
Oh yeah,
I guess, right. But like, why would they? I just feel like
he was just sleepy.
I was just so lonely on my drive back.
I'm so sad, and
I'm so sad that he's there.
I didn't drink any water. It was just silly.
It was just real tiring. They interrogated him for 2 whole hours. Do you know what kind of a toll it takes on a man to be asked questions for 2 hours?
Apparently, Harry can't handle it.
Yeah, he needs to go straight to sickbay after that. After all, too much social interaction for an introvert.
I guess, yeah. It was his broken heart.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about so at one point they're they're hailing a Numiri ship.
Mm-hmm.
They're from a different quadrant. Are we supposed to assume that just any ship can hail any ship? They're all using the same technology and communication methods.
Obviously.
It's just a radio, dude. How hard could it be?
Well, it's video.
It's like Skype. Everyone's got Skype.
I think that
Because Skype is so reliable and known to work so well whenever you want to talk to each other.
I
think they get most of the bugs worked out in the year 23XX.
Yeah,
I
it
think
only
that
took
it's
them
supposed
100
to
years.
be assumed that it's like, at this point, technology has, the people who are in space and can talk to each other, their technology has evolved into being compatible enough to work with other people's. Like, because that's the thing with, like, warp technology. Like, they all can do warp. That's why they're allowed to talk to each other, according to the Prime Directive and all that. So, like, you just assume, you just make assumptions that they'll know what it means when you send them a hail or whatever.
Well, and I just don't think it's particularly interesting for the show to focus all its energy on explaining, like, the things like that. Like,
Yeah.
For all its, let's say, missteps in storytelling, at least Star Trek tries to pay attention to the things that are actually relevant to the story.
Right. Yeah.
I just think it would be the worst to just be driving along and be like, getting another call. Hang on. Like,
There have to be a handful of Star Trek episodes where this is exactly the story, and they have to figure out a way to communicate with this ship.
They do run into aliens that are completely alien, like not a humanoid, and like they can't communicate with it. Like they've already run into one, that big nebula thing that they fucked up in the last episode. So there's like acknowledgement of life that is not humanoid in the galaxy. It's just that it's not something they can really communicate with.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
So they don't make episodes about them most of the time.
So my one big complaint about all that is in all these Star Trek episodes, like, if that's the concept, is you can just kind of, like, hail a specific frequency and communicate with any nearby ship, they would have to constantly be getting prank calls from teens, like, all the time. And not once do we see that in a Star Trek.
That you know of.
Well, I mean, honestly, there are kids in some of these episodes eventually. So you never know what could happen. I don't remember anything like that, but you never know.
So the back half of this episode...
But we do need to talk... No, we need to talk about how they have a dog.
Oh, yeah.
And they call it a dog.
Right.
Just a dog.
He calls it
I
a
know.
doggy.
It's just a dog.
Doggy.
Although, yeah, who's got a particular taste for meat, apparently.
Was the implication that she was going to poison them? Like, she knows if the meat's gone bad.
It was very weird.
Everything she did, I was like, she's trying to kill everybody in this room.
I know. Most of the scene and this setup is straight out of film noir, like the oblivious husband with the beautiful wife and who hosts the person who's trying to seduce his wife to dinner, like that kind of thing. But then there was all this talk about like weird meat and the dog, and there's definitely some of that in like old 50s film noir movies, like just weird non sequitur crap, but I could not figure it out with this one. Like, what was the point of having that poor scruffy chihuahua eat things?
I mean, it was just to have him be pointed out as a factor in the situation, because the dog is what gives away the ending, like the real murderer.
Because, spoiler alert, it wasn't Paris. Who'd have guessed?
I don't know. I wrote down, what I said was, how do they have actual dogs in the Delta Quadrant? I feel like the writers forget their own premise sometimes.
I mean, that sounds
You could have
right.
at least had him call it something different. And then they could be like,
A
oh,
god,
yeah, we
right.
have animals like that on our planet. They're called dogs.
But no, it's just
No, it's
still
a dog.
fucking regular ass dog.
What they should have done was given the dog like a weird feather thing around the top of its head, so that way you would have known it was an alien dog.
Yes.
I really appreciated that Tuvok specifically sets up a parlor scene. He's like,
Yeah.
in 2 hours, let's meet at the scene of the murder to discuss what happened.
Yep.
Just point for point, yeah. It's just
So good. Everything about it.
Yeah, the back half of this episode is pretty much just Tuvok Holmes, consulting detective. It's
Yes.
him just going around questioning people, using logic to figure out the entire issue at hand.
I thought it was brilliant, and I have been hurting for a real, like, something to hold on to with Tuvok. We haven't seen that much of him, and I think it's particularly tricky if you're playing a Vulcan, because by nature, like by definition, they have no emotion. There's not a lot. You need a lot of time with that character before you really start to understand what makes them tick and who they are. And I feel like this is the first real look we got at Tuvok. And there's this line that when Tom and when Tom Paris and Tuvok are talking, the way that Tim Russ delivers the line, perhaps, when Tom Paris tells him that that's not a great way to make friends, like, it's so subtle, and I can't quite put my finger on what it is. It's just good acting, but it reveals so much more about Tuvok's character than I was expecting. There's a lot going on behind there, and I'm really excited to hear more and see more about it.
Yeah, that's a really good point about playing the Vulcan. Is like there's so everything has to be so subtle because it playing a Vulcan, you have to have you have to kind of hit all of those points of like everything's calculated, everything is logical, everything is precise, but then how do you make a unique character while trying to act as a race that seems to be so uniform?
Yeah.
It is an interesting like thought there. Like, how do you differentiate yourself? And like when everything is meant to be down to pure logic, wouldn't everybody essentially be doing the same stuff? And no, they're different people. It's an interesting thought.
The thing with Vulcans is that they don't have no emotion. They just suppress it all.
Right.
So there's just like this deep well inside that gets to come out every once in a while because of some weird fluky thing that happens. But when they're not doing that, they have to, the actors, this is why the people who play the Vulcans always are like, I think they have to be some of the best actors on the show because they have to communicate that emotion that they do have that they're just suppressing and keeping to themselves as much as possible. But it does come out every once in a while with like certain voice inflections and stuff like that.
Yeah. Tim Russ can do it with like the subtlest furrow of his brow or the tilt of his head.
Yeah.
Like that. What I'm always going back to the scene because it really cracked me up. It must have been 2 episodes ago now when Harry Kim and Tuvok were going back and forth on the bridge with their communicators.
Yeah.
Like, you just got, like, the sort of... when Harry Kim points out that Tuvok basically said, I don't know, I've never seen it before. And he just, like... he gets this little moment, just, like, the little reaction shot, and it's so subtle, like, so little happens, but you get just so much about how Tuvok's like, all right, okay, that's fine, whatever, moving on.
Yeah.
See... for that exact scene, my read on it was more of a Tuvok going, all right, well played, young ensign. Like, I see you. You can play in this room. You can do this thing. Like, kind of an acknowledgement that he's part of the, like, greater crew. So.
Oh, yeah, I mean it like that as well.
Yeah.
Just sort of, like, rolling his eyes, but accepting the hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we learn a lot more about Tuvok? I was surprised to learn he was married.
That was pretty crazy.
I mean, you learn more about all of them.
I would hope so. There's a lot of show to go.
There's
a lot of episodes to go. Yeah.
I mean, I only focus on Tuvok because here we are in episode, what did I say, 7, and we haven't really learned that much about him yet. Like, we know a fair about more, even with B'Elanna, I would say, than we know about Tuvok, who's just like, the list of facts I know about him are that he's Vulcan, he's the security officer, tactical officer.
Chief
he does
security.
something in the ship. Security.
Yeah.
And now I know that he's married. Like, this is not a whole lot. And I feel like part of it comes from the fact that maybe I'm just overgeneralizing, maybe being racist towards a made up race here, but there's just not a whole lot they can do with a Vulcan. Or that's what I'm worried about.
Oh, don't worry.
I was gonna say, I think
there's
part of the
I mean-
reason.
But are you saying you don't want more Paris-centric episodes? You don't want more?
Only if Harry is involved.
Harry is always involved.
It makes sense.
I kind of like Tom Paris. He's growing on me a little bit.
I don't have any problems with him. Like, obviously he acts stupid sometimes, but I know he grows as a character as the show goes on. So it's
I look forward
not
to
like
that
he's in
character
this
growth.
static position, like he's a work in progress.
How can you not like a man who makes a sexy gigolo and then brings his captain to his weird fantasy French
Okay,
restaurant?
he didn't bring her. She showed up.
Harry brought her.
Oh yeah, okay, all right. Still, like,
Remember,
that-
Paris was embarrassed by the gigolo coming on to Janeway immediately. He was like, if I'd known, oh no.
so good. I'm coming around on Tom Paris.
We might get there, but I'm not sold yet.
He's like I said, he's kind of like a flat butt of the joke character to me at this point. At least most of the other characters have something going for them. He has nothing really in my mind, which is better than Neelix, who has actively disliking energy. So.
Yeah.
Neelix spent like his entire contribution to this episode was like, oh, they seem like they might be violent. Oh, told you so. And that was it.
Yeah, he was terribly obnoxious with his little factoids on Numiri, like, oh, by the way, like, thanks,
Yeah.
Clippy.
Yeah, well, the thing that's dumb is that Janeway asked him for that. Well, so the part with Janeway, when she goes to him, or she asks him to come to her office or whatever, it is like, can you help us with information about these aliens? You know, do the job that we like are allowing you to be here to do. And
For the first
he makes
time.
he makes like a dumb joke and laughs very, very hard at. I don't even remember what it was, but he laughs like super hard at his own joke, and she like physically rolls her eyes, like her whole head rolls with it. And yeah, Janeway hates him at this point. She's like, okay, can you actually just help me though? And then he's like, yeah, the rest of the time. But the thing that I don't understand about Neelix is like, okay, so he's from the Delta Quadrant, obviously, but how does he know all this shit? Does he just read the encyclopedia of Delta Quadrant alien politics and like knows everything? How? Like, that
I
doesn't
think
make
he's just
sense.
making it up.
Well, that
Oh, yeah,
could be.
I'm recalling his very good joke was about how he decides to run away before things get violent with Numiri. And that was what was really funny to him. And then he burst out laughing for, 5 seconds.
Yeah,
And then just
she's
continued.
like- yeah, God, Neelix.
Mhm.
I regret ever saying that I didn't have a problem with him. He didn't annoy me as much in the very first episode, and then ever since then, he's just gotten more and more annoying.
Mhm.
Like, we're all in agreement he's the worst character right now, right? Like,
Right
the
now,
only
yeah.
person I feel like who... You said, yeah, you agree, right, Andrew? Because I was worried you might not agree.
Andrew,
I love Neelix.
you're lying.
You fucking troll.
That's what it says on the back of my shirt is Neelix #1 fan.
Yeah, it's me giving Kingworm Neelix a hug.
God.
See, I like King Worm Neelix, but not regular Neelix.
I don't like King Worm Neelix either.
Oh yeah, so Harry and Paris in the shuttle in that like bait trip to like see
Yep.
if Tuvok's theory when they're
Like they were
they are
holding
just-
hands
Yeah,
to
they're
feel
basically
confident in
holding
each other.
hands and flirting the
Mhm.
entire time.
Oh yeah,
Like
totally flirting.
Mhm.
like Paris says to Harry, someday you will meet a woman and you'll know that it's wrong. And like,
Yeah, the whole forbidden
The-
love talk.
yeah.
Yep.
And it's like, you'll know that it's wrong because it's not me. That was the implication
God.
that I was getting from
Yeah.
it.
How have I missed all of this? It just goes whoop right over my head.
Well,
I'm so innocent. God.
you mean you don't see this very real subtext that's definitely there
Yeah.
and definitely intended?
Yeah, it was this whole forbidden love exposition.
It's practically just the text at this point.
Okay, but no, I don't think that anybody was intending that to happen.
No,
but
it's still subtext, but it's
Yeah.
barely still subtext
it's
to me.
very it seems very unself-aware of how obvious it is about
Mhm.
how you could interpret it.
So their whole tricking of the Numiri, they sent them out on the shuttle and then teleported them back, and we're gonna blow up the shuttle. That whole thing. My favorite part of that was Chakotay, working out this plan and his line of saying, "Out in the Delta Quadrant, all old tricks are new again." It's like, that is an interesting point. Like, they have all of these like tactics that may be kind of dated or like well known back home, but like I don't know. Now it's all free game again.
Yeah.
They don't know the Statue of Liberty play here.
Yeah. I like that little comment too.
It makes sense. It was a nice little reminder of like, hey, we do have something still.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone got these nice little character moments throughout this episode, even though it was clearly just focused on the lovers. So I forgot to mention at the top of this episode that this episode was directed by LeVar Burton.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
I didn't catch
LeVar
that.
Burton may be best known for playing a rainbow on a public television program.
That's where I know him from.
Nothing else. That's the only thing that he's
Sky.
I didn't know about any of his other roles until I was in my 20s.
You didn't
So-
know about reading
20s?
Rainbow?
I knew about reading Rainbow. I didn't know about the other roles.
reading Rainbow.
Nate, of course I knew reading Rainbow. Who do you think we are?
Jordy is the best. Jordy is like
He
my
is.
favorite next gen character.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's so good.
He is very good.
From what I've watched, he's awesome. I I just haven't watched much Next Generation. I've watched like a handful of episodes total.
Well, the fact that he was as good as he was with his eyes covered up the entirety of the
Yeah,
show
uh-huh.
is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
Covered up with his visor, which of course stands for visual instrument and sight organ replacement.
Uh-huh.
It's the best.
Hashtag Star Trek.
It's so good.
He does get cybernetic eyes for
the
First
movies.
Contact. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder why they made that choice.
He was like, please don't make me wear that
Please,
fucking visor
I don't
anymore.
wanna
Really?
That's how they made that choice, yes. He
I
was
had
like, please
migraines
do
every
something.
day. Please don't
Yeah.
make me put it back on.
Burton lobbied for many years to have his character's visor replaced so people could see his eyes, since
Mm-hmm.
the, quote, air filter he wore prevented the audience from seeing his eyes and limited his acting ability.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, have we said all there is to say about this very good episode of Voyager?
I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
in the end, Tom didn't do it. It was this other dude.
It was
Yeah.
the doctor
They
who
were
put
working
the,
with
the thing in his
Miri,
brain.
and they embedded codes in the memory or something like that.
Yeah, he was like a secret agent
Yeah.
using Tom to send war secrets for the very real and serious war that we definitely see evidence of.
Uh-huh. I do love
thought-
at the end that Tuvok straight up was like, yeah, if you were guilty, I definitely would have convicted you.
Yeah, he's
I wouldn't
Like,
even.
I'm just going to tell you right out.
Tuvok's like, I have
right
no
now.
attachment to you. I do not care.
Also, this
Just so you know, in the future.
Tuvok's dunk on Paris's anatomy knowledge on like the Baniri anatomy. It was definitely like he barely knows.
The Baniri.
I know it's wrong.
Okay.
I'm just committing
I just
to the
wasn't
bit.
sure if that was on purpose or not.
I'm committing to the bit. But like Paris doesn't know their like human anatomy well enough to know where the heart is.
Mhm.
Is the subtext that I got there? I was like,
yep.
Yeah, people love dunking on Paris's medical knowledge.
Mhm.
you don't even need to include the medical knowledge part. They just love to dunk on Paris. All right, Andrew.
We also watched.
Did you think I was
That
going to
was such
say
a
any more
long
there?
pause.
I really did.
Also,
I was just trying to get you to go.
We also watched Adventure Time episode 13, City of Thieves. When confronted by a tree witch over how uncorruptible he is, Finn enters the City of Thieves with Jake to confront a thief who is believed to have stolen a flower basket from a little girl named Penny. However, staying pure of heart within the city proves to be easier said than done. And episode 14, The Witch's Garden. It has an exclamation point. Jake loses his enthusiasm for adventure when a witch strips him of his powers. After Finn is captured by a skeletal mermaid, Jake attempts to regain his powers. He realizes that he has to apologize to the witch in order to receive his powers, which he does. I definitely preferred one of these episodes over the other one.
Which
Continue.
The Witch's Garden. I thought that was just like it was good. It was very funny.
I kind
I
of
thought
thought
they were
both
both
of
good.
these episodes were really boring. Well, the City of Thieves one was just the same joke over and over. Like over and over and over and over.
Mhm.
I was like, is this really all that's gonna happen? It's just characters running around stealing things from each other? Yeah, okay.
I did like the Rube Goldberg machines of stealing.
That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. The same thing. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was just like in Memories of Boom Boom Mountain, where they had the like Rube Goldberg machine of good deeds
Helping
being
people. Yeah.
but just the opposite.
I am a fan of those types of sequences where they kind of do build on that same joke, but then like they'll throw in like there'll be a few like quote unquote normal ones, and then they'll like throw in like one big twist, like the wizard whose magic words to turn into a cat was pancake, pancake, pancake.
Yeah, there was a lot of creativity and just throwing whatever at the wall and seeing what stuck.
One point I do have to make in that sequence is, so they definitely have a never nude in the city.
Mm-hmm.
There was the guy who got his jammies stolen, and he was just
My
wearing the jean
jammies.
cutoffs with a lock on the front.
Yeah, the
my
lock
God.
is something.
Uh-huh.
There are dozens of them in this city.
Dozens.
Yes, sir. I mean, as much as I enjoy these, I will say both episodes were fairly light. There wasn't. I mean, there was a lot of stealing, and
I
then
just-
But we've been saying
You
that
say
kind of
that
from the
every
Yeah.
single episode.
and I think that's just going to be the case for a while.
I believe you guys
Yeah.
that eventually it's like not like this, but
Like the
Yeah.
the comedy in these episodes, I think, was also just not the best that they've done in general.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like Boom Boom Mountain was very, very funny.
that's so funny. I did not like Boom Boom Mountain as much as I remembered I was going to. This one had a lot of nipple jokes, which I did not think I would find funny, but I did.
yeah, I didn't. I was creeped out by the Jake has underwear on under his fur.
Yeah, that was...
Is that how you read that? My
Yeah.
interpretation was that he when he lost his magic powers, he lost his dog body and it was replaced with just like
Right.
a chubby guy's body.
Right.
A chubby
Because-
man
Well,
baby
'cause
body.
She does the same spell on the bagel. Where the
Right.
bagel turns into the old man bodied bagel.
He's constantly playing with his boobs the whole time, and then there's this one point where he goes, "Yeah, and what gives? I used to have like 8 more of these," and he's pointing to his nipple.
The best part was at the beginning when he's like sniffing the donut or whatever, and then he's like, "Yeah, sniff up those toxins," and then he's like, "Wait a minute, I don't know what poison smells like."
It's weird to be reminded that Jake is a dog because he so rarely acts like one.
Yeah.
That for him to like do dog things was strange.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question on the witch. Is that the only magic she can do? Is that specific curse?
Well, she can
Wait,
grow
old
donut
man
Body
bushes.
curse?
She could do some teleporting too. Razamafu.
Yeah, she did teleport them around a good bit.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like I said, she grew donut bushes. So, like,
Yeah, that's magical.
Wait, you don't have donut bushes?
you do?
Oh,
God, I
is that
wish.
what you keep posting pictures of?
Yeah,
Those
that's what we're putting in our
plants?
landscaping.
Man, I need to
Oh.
really focus on coming to visit soon then.
Yeah, she's got those donut bushes and her despised cupcake flowers.
Mm-hmm. My theory on why it's that specific curse is because that is the result of eating donuts. She's cursing them for eating donuts, and that's what you end up with when you're stealing donuts is that is that look. It was way too relatable for me.
In your underwear, missing nipples.
Uh-huh. And the running that results when Jake is in that body form.
Running is evil.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Just
I
the
went
hobbling. Just like these little hops.
Yeah. I went for a run the other day because I thought, well, I can bike 40 miles. I can certainly run 3. I cannot. Friends, running truly is evil. It is a bad thing to do with your body.
I don't know how to make my limbs do that motion.
Yeah. It's bad. It sucks.
It's hard, and yeah, I don't like it. You have to
It's
go
hard and
outside to
bad.
do it.
I kind of like it.
Unless you have a treadmill. I don't. You like running?
Kinda.
Kinda.
It's not my favorite form of exercise, but I prefer it to biking or swimming. I can.
Is it because you like spending a lot of effort to go slowly?
I mean, kinda.
Oh my god.
I mean, I did row for a long time, so
I love rowing. Rowing is great. Running is bad.
Running is like a high impact type of activity.
yeah. I mean, yeah, but yeah, we did a lot of running when I was rowing. Like we would frequently go on, like if it was raining or the weather was just like a little bit bad, we would have to go on like 10-mile runs, and we did.
Oh my god.
We did it regularly.
Pass.
So you
Yeah,
were
seriously.
brainwashed into loving it.
Yeah.
Is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was
Yeah, by your
brainwashed
cult.
into a lot of things in high school.
I would rather just be at home and be chubby tired.
Mm-hmm. On the topic of swimming, I did enjoy Finn's swimming, quote unquote, in Garbage River.
Yeah, that was so weird.
Just kind of like in this loose garbage, doing like the breaststroke.
Like with clearly no water around him.
Nothing
to
Like,
actually get him
swimming
to
in it as if it was.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was a fun little bit there.
So my little actor / voice actor fact this time. So the guy who voiced the baby skeletons and the rock golem in the City of Thieves is D. Bradley Baker, who mainly does a lot of like Cartoon Network stuff. There's a lot. He does a lot of work. But Sarah and I will know him best as Varix the Loyal. Yeah, who is a Destiny character that Andrew definitely does not know. And
Wait.
But he's fallen, I can tell.
Mhm.
Well, he's heard him.
He's heard him.
talks in the,
He just didn't know that he's
Wait,
heard him.
Varix, the Prison of Elders guy?
Yep.
Yeah.
The
Oh.
the servitor and the prison of elders is Varix's voice.
Yeah.
So yes.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't he also do the voice of the kid in American Dad?
Yes. Hold on. I just had his IMDb.
Oh, he does Klaus.
He does Klaus.
He
He does a lot of voices.
So, what was the deal with the mermaid in Trash River? I mean, obviously, you know, she's looking to get down, right? She says which one of you mortals wants to mate with all this, but then she ends up like bringing them to a nest, like her bird nest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like something didn't click there. Like, what was her
Where's the
goal here?
question?
To feed them to the babies? Like,
I just assumed she was a trash dragon partway through and not actually a mermaid.
yeah. I did appreciate that her hands were just attached to her hair and not like arms or anything.
Arms are overrated.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm still not hearing a question.
I don't know what her intent was with these.
Just like,
with
what's
these
her deal?
People that were in the river.
So it's not about why skeleton mermaids live in trees. It's just about what her intention was.
Well, okay, does she live in the tree or does she live in the river? Because she's the mermaid of Trash River, but then she also lives in the tree, or she just nests in the tree and then lives back in the river and
And
visits
her babies
the
are
nest.
birds.
Right. There's so many questions.
Yeah, how did this... Are they adopted?
He's just babysitting.
Interesting. I like the theory that they're adopted. That's a really great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Does she ever come back in any other episodes?
Nope.
All right. So they're adopted. That's what we've decided.
Yeah, we cracked it.
Good job, Nate. You did it. Asking the real hard-hitting
Yay.
questions here.
All right. Did anyone have connections?
Yes.
I did too.
Okay.
Yep.
Finn is tricked into becoming a thief, and Tom is kind of tricked into becoming a murderer.
That's what mine was basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine
They're
was
both
similar.
taken advantage of.
Paris and Finn
Yep.
both get horribly betrayed by someone they think they are close to.
Yep.
Media literacy.
Yeah.
That's all I had, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, same.
like
That was pretty much it.
not the most number of connections for this episode. Or for
But
these
we all
episodes.
had the same one, which I think that's a first.
Yeah.
We still have 100% hit rate on these episodes.
We
So-
found something in all of them.
Which is still wild. It took me a little
Well,
bit
okay.
to figure it out for this one.
A lot of them are reaching, though. Let's just be honest.
I don't think they're reaching that much, honestly. I have found that most of the time they're pretty similar. There's not episode wise, but like in terms of connections we make.
Mm-hmm.
We do find like even if the episodes are
Thematically.
not super close, there are very similar themes. Just they go about it different
Just
ways.
by virtue of them being works of art that were created by humans.
I mean, but like in the same order
Okay.
almost. Like the fact that we're getting these themes all like every single time, where it's like, oh yeah, we can match they've got these two same things, as opposed to like, hey, we could have had like jealousy ones compared to this like betrayal one. It's like I don't know.
We're gonna get to a point though where it's like, well, this Star Trek episode had a dog in it, and Jake's a dog, so they're similar.
That's another connection for this one.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nate. We
Oh my
figured it out. See, if they hadn't said that it was a dog, we wouldn't have had that connection.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, if it had been some weird alien thing. Thank you for listening to this weird podcast where we uncover the mysteries of the universe by revealing the interconnecting threads between Voyager and Adventure Time. Join us next time when we discuss Voyager episode Emanations and the Adventure Time episodes What is Life? And Ocean of Fear. Until then, we'll just wait for you here.
By the mausoleum.
With our backs turned.
And our defenses lowered.
Come along with me and we'll explore the galaxy. We got stuck in Delta Quadrant. We'll get home eventually. Come along with me and we'll make this new marquee. They got stuck out here with us. And now we're one big team.
This episode had a dog, and Jake is a dog.
Jake had to run, and they also ran in the Star Trek. There was the bagel on the bush, and there was a red shirt eating a bagel in the background.
What a waste
Probably.
of their ration from the replicator.
Space bagel.